We are live, you guys. So, up until this point, excuse me. Great intro. Today, we will. Up to this point, we have been talking about equations and things where one thing equals another thing. Remember my scale? And it was perfectly flat, right? It was totally horizontal. This equaled this. If it didn't, it would look like that. We're going to talk about these now, right? We're going to talk about where they're not equal, right? And they're actually called inequalities, right? So instead of having an equal sign, you will have a different kind of a sign. I think all of you know these. I think I might have covered this briefly at the beginning of the year, I think at one point, but I'm not sure. But when you have an inequality, instead of having an equal sign, you'll have a greater than sign, or a less than sign, or a greater than or equal to sign, or a less than or equal to sign. How many people know what I'm talking about? Just so I know. Okay, don't worry, it's fine. They're not that complicated, but you know which one is which. And you actually sort of read it from left to right. So there are signs like this. That is called a greater than sign. Greater than. Okay? And the way you could sort of think about this, some people create a little alligator, with teeth, right? And this is the teeth of the alligator, here's the eye, eyelashes, right? And obviously the largest part of the mouth is the left side, right? So as you're reading from left to right, this is bigger than this, right? This is a huge opening. This is a tiny little, almost nothing, right? That's where they come together. So as you're reading something, you would say, this is greater than. So this would be greater than this. Like an example would be this. 4 is greater than 2. Okay? That's what that means. 4 is greater than 2. Now, then you have this kind of a sign. It's just the reverse. And that's less than. So, again, as you're reading from left to right, you realize this is tiny. On the right side, you have a huge opening, right? So everything on the left is less, this is less than this, right? So an example would be, 2 is less than 10, right? Right? Makes sense so far, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not that hard. And then sometimes, though, you have an inequality and an equation together. And instead of writing it with an equal sign, instead of saying, equal and greater than, you don't do that. You actually write it like this. So we're going to do greater than or equal to now. It's like this, greater than, and then you put half of an equal sign underneath it. Just a line underneath it. And so you call that greater, this is what it stands for. This is what you'd actually say. Greater or equal to. Greater than. And. Actually, or. Or equal to. I think I did say and, I'm sorry. Greater than or equal to. So I could say 8 is greater than or equal to 5. Is that true?
No. Yes.
Is 8 greater than or equal to 5? It's greater than 5, right? But that's why you say or. If I said and, it would have to not only be greater than 5, but it would have to be equal to 5. And that would be impossible. You can't have something that's both greater than 5 and equal to 5, right? That would be impossible. That's why you would say greater than or equal to. Now, is this true? 8 is greater than or equal to 8.
Yes.
Is that true? Yes. Both of those are true. 8 is definitely greater than 5, so it's greater than or equal to 5. 8 is definitely equal to 8, so 8 is greater than or equal to 8. Both of those are true. Now let's do less than or equal to. Less than or equal to, less than, or equal to. So I could say 3 is less than or equal to 7. Or I could say 3 is less than or equal to 3. Both of those would be accurate. Both of those would be true. So, I don't see you using it. It is right now. Okay, so has everybody got that down? Can I erase that? Because now what we're going to talk about is how to graph them. How to graph an equation, excuse me, an inequality with a variable. So it'll say, instead of saying 8 is greater than or equal to 5, it's going to say x is greater than or equal to 5 or something like that. So we're going to try that. So now that you understand the terminology and the symbols, did I erase something you needed?
Just make a line that's all wonky and like.
So this is how you'll normally see it. You'll see something like this. X is greater than 5. And we want to graph that. Okay? X is greater than 5. So I'm going to draw a straight line. And I'm going to have a 0 here. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't really need to go this way because I'm saying it says x is greater than 5. All right. Now there's two ways to do this. We're also going to do this. We're going to do x is greater than or equal to 5. You're going to see the difference. I'm going to draw this one too.
I just said and again.
Greater than or equal to, sorry. Okay. These two will look differently when you graph them. So it says x is greater than 5. That means bigger than 5, right? X is bigger than 5. Could x be 6?
Yes.
Could x be 100?
Yes.
Could x be 1,000,000?
Yes.
Could x be 1,000,000,000?
Yes.
X could be anything bigger than 5, right? Could x be 5?
No.
Could x be 5?
No.
No, it has to be bigger than 5, greater than 5, right?
5.
It could be
5.1.
5.000000001, it could be, right? But it can't be 5. Okay? So the thing is, does it include 5? If x cannot equal 5, it has to be bigger than 5. I can't put a solid dot at 5. Solid dot at 5 would tell me that it could be 5. So what I do is, mathematicians have designed this method of you put an open circle dot at 5. It means I'm not touching 5, but just as 5 it gets bigger than 5, that's when it starts. Does that make sense? By having an open circle, I'm not including 5. I'm not touching 5 itself. And then it's everything else that it can be is like 6 or 7 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000. So what I do is I take my pencil and I make a nice big heavy line and I put an arrow going that direction. X is bigger than 5, and that arrow tells me it goes on forever. X could be anything as long as it's bigger than 5.
Wait.
Okay? Question. Hunter.
Never mind.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is the difference? What would you think would be the difference between this one and this one in the graph? Okay, Amy.
It would be like a filled-in dot.
A filled-in dot, because it includes the 5. It says x is not only greater than 5, but it also equals 5. So it's okay to put a solid dot to show it equals 5. There's my solid dot. and then I do a nice big thick line and an arrow. And that's the difference, okay? Now, let's say, I'm going to just do a couple more. Let's say I said x is less than negative 1,000. Now, this is really fun to graph. Okay? So here's my 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Now, you see what the problem is right now? This is going to take me all day, right? So you don't do this. You don't do it quite like this. All you need to do, you know negative 1,000, which side of 0 is it going to be? On the left. So you put a 0 over there, and you put this, and you put negative 1,000. Right? That makes it really easy. Right?
Or you could just write like, it starts at like, you could write like,
Go by 500.
I could go by 500s, or I could go by negative 200s, right? You know? But you know what? Who cares? All I want to do is graph this. So it says x is less than negative 1,000. So how would I do that? Somebody raise your hand. Tiana. Oh, no, yeah. Tess.
You would put a circle over the
An open circle like that, right?
Yeah, and then make an arrow going that way.
Going that way, because it's going to be whatever is littler than 1,000, negative 1,000. So we're going to go this way, and it's going to be like that. Great. Awesome. So it's pretty straightforward. Fist to 5. You guys understand it? All right, so that's what homework tonight is all about. So as long as you understand it, it'll make it really easy to get through that. Eventually, we're going to talk about solving inequalities. Like if I give you like something like this, you know, like 2x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 10. And then we would have to learn how to solve that. And it's very similar to solving an equation. But there's a couple little differences that you have to keep on your mind. But we'll eventually get there. That is graphing and writing equations. Inequalities. All right, that's it. Oh wait, guys, don't leave yet. Don't leave.